Hello and welcome. Today is Wednesday, March 25th. Today would be an A day if we were still in school. This is the seventh day of school closures due to COVID-19, and this is my, I think, sixth video. And we're going to be talking about perspective. And in light of that, I figured I'd make this video from my perspective so you can see what it is I see when I'm trying to make these terrible things. And you can also get a glimpse of Loco, who is very angry at me because I won't let him in here. So without further ado, perspective in literature.
So this video is on perspective or point of view in literature. And perspective and point of view, they're really talking about the same thing. And we're referring to the lens through which we see a story. In other words, who's our narrator? Who's telling us the story? And that's an important thing to take into consideration because it can change how we view the information being presented to us within the story. And there's a couple of different perspectives we need to think about and learn about for that. And it's something we always want to take into consideration when we're reading. And as we develop as writers, we want to make sure that we understand it and try to explore different perspectives to write from. And I think one of the things I had suggested in an earlier video was trying to write about your experiences during this whole unique experience that we're currently going through. And I suggested writing from different perspectives. And, that's kind of what I'm talking about here. So without further ado, perspective or point of view. So there are three types. The first type is first person perspective, then we have second person perspective, and then lastly, third person perspective. First person perspective is pretty simple. It's from the point of view of I, right? You can tell you're reading something from first person perspective because you are constantly reading that pronoun I, right? I did this. I ran to the store and on my way there, I tripped and hurt my knee because I was distracted looking for cats. That's not from a real story. That's from something in my life, embarrassingly enough. But, major stories like To Kill a Mockingbird, that was written from first person perspective, from the perspective of Scout. Gulliver's Travels was written in first person perspective. Again, you can identify first person perspective through that pronoun I. So if you look for that, you can get a good sense that you're reading something in first person perspective. That brings us to the next one, second person perspective. And second person perspective, it's not used a whole lot. It's the perspective of you, right? So you did this, you did that. You don't really come across it too frequently unless you're reading something like a self-help book or a choose your own adventure, which used to be popular back in the Stone Age when I was a child. People read Choose Your Own Adventures, and you come across a fork in the road. If you choose to go left, turn to page 78. If you choose to go right, turn to page 87, and you'd progress through the novel that way. So not a whole lot of second person perspective literature that you'll come across, but it's important to understand that it's there and it's something to know. And that brings us to our most common one, which is third person perspective or third person point of view. And again, this is the most common one you're going to see, partly because it's easier to write this way, and partly because it's easier to present more information in the story. So you're getting this perspective from the perspective of an outside observer, right? Now, it could be a person from completely outside the story, or it could be from a character on the outskirts of the story. And there are three subtypes for third person perspective. The first subtype would be third person objective. Here you have a neutral and impartial narrator. They are not taking any sides, they are strictly presenting what is going on in the story, attempting to be just purely factual. Then we have third person omniscient. And Omniscient is a great word. It means all knowing. And just as it implies, your narrator knows all. That type of perspective can give you inside knowledge into what a character is thinking, into what that character's motives are, and not just one character, but any character within the story. So this is a pretty broad perspective and can provide a lot of information. You can see this in novels where there are many characters and they're trying to really give you a lot of information. Following up with that is our last type of third person perspective, which would be third person limited. And again, as the name implies, you are limited. You get the perspective from one character, you get their thoughts, but none other. So it's similar to omniscient, but you're not getting all those other people. And this is where on the video and voice I talked about unreliable narrators. You have to be careful when you have a limited perspective because you don't know the full story. And sometimes authors can use this to their advantage to play with readers' expectations, and they can set up twists in the story by using a third person limited perspective. Now, when you are writing, if you want to start practicing this, think about how you can use perspective in interesting ways. Think about how the different types of perspective give you an opportunity to tell stories in unique ways. And whether that is telling something that is nonfiction, like exploring what you're going through and how you're dealing with social distancing and quarantine, or if you are trying to hone your fiction writing skills right now. Try writing the same story through the different perspectives and see how that changes your story. It'd be an interesting exercise for you to do. And I know that I've had some students email me and question whether these little suggestions I give you are assignments. They are not official assignments. They are just suggestions. I make these videos as a supplement to you for any students that come across them besides the students that I have normally, because I want to offer you the extra opportunity to get some experience, some education, and some connection. And don't feel that you need to engage in those exercises. But at the same time, it's beneficial. You have some free time on your hand, engage in one of these little exercises to, practice your writing skills. And, with that, I hope everyone is doing well. If you have any questions, leave a comment down below. I think that's what all the cool kids do in these videos. You can email me at m.chiarieri@gmail.com if you can't get a hold of me through the normal school email, and I'll respond as quick as humanly possible. And I look forward to talking to you soon, and let's see if I can, keep good on my word of trying to improve these things with each one. Until then, be good.